If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Altar Call MAFS. I'm your host, Tane, here to recap the season finale of Couples Therapy Season 4. Hope everyone had a wonderful holiday. And here with me is Jenn. Hi, Jenn. How are you?
I am so good. I can't believe this is the end. We made it. It's like that marathon where you run and run and run and you see the finish line and we made it. We're here.
Yeah, we sure did. Thanks for hanging in there with me. Okay, so we start with Orna saying most couples therapy is about helping a couple unpack a pattern that they find themselves in. And what she tries to do is figure out what else is there, and that scares people. She says there's a saying that to do real work, you have to block the exits and get to the messy. Otherwise, you are not touching new material. All that to say that she's about to spill the tea with her peers about Boris and Jessica. They have said goodbye, and Orna shares with them that they have a puzzle to solve with them because she did not expect what they came in with. You know, if you recall, everyone was like, oh, I'll be scared. Oh my God, what's it going to come in with? And I don't think anybody anticipated that they would come in saying, we good, we all good. So she says they came in with a fairy tale. And then she shares the whole birthday party and how she saw the child in him and they connected. And we get a shot of Boris and Jessica, their family, in the pool just playing around. And one of the peers was like, so his partner asked him to leave and he didn't do it. And that could mean something. Another said, you think it will continue this way? Like all is good? Because I don't think so. Another says, like, the thing is, she initiated the tragic end, but he refused. And I'm like, I don't understand what this peer is trying to say, because to me, I just think it's another way of how he doesn't listen to her. She asked him to leave, and he's like, no, I'm going to focus on what I want instead, and I'm not going to go. So I don't know why this person kept saying, well, he didn't go through with it, and that's a great thing. Like, what did you think about that?
I had a tough time because I felt like I've been screaming this since we've been watching this couple is like, he's not listening to her. But with Orna's statement at the beginning of you have to block the exits and stay inside, like, I guess, but I don't know if this is the situation. Like, what's the situation from a therapy perspective of when do you stop staying inside? Like at some point, you know, I watch This Is Us and at some point staying inside is bad.
You know, this is why I like bouncing this with you, because just when you said that, I'm recalling, like, even with Married at First Sight, whenever there's a fight and someone's like, yeah, I'm going to my home, I get upset. Like, stick it in there and figure out what is going on. But I think in this case, I think he should have left because he's the one that was such, I'm in despair, I'm in distress, and her health is in question now. Like, at the point where my health is being threatened and I'm not feeling well, and you giving me space is going to help me heal, please get the fuck out. That's
GTFO.
That's my that's where I'm thinking of it. But I don't know. It's been romanticized to be like, no, he's fighting for them. Because also, where's Boris gonna go? As far as I'm concerned, his books didn't sell. They're all in the house. And he's probably just thinking he's so practical. He's like, I'm not going to pay rent somewhere else. I'm staying here. So that's
Right.
just
Because
my
she
narrative.
even, yeah, I mean, and she didn't say, I'm going to leave, you stay here with the kids. Like she said, I'm going to stay here, you go. So, I mean, even in that, she was taking labor off of him and he was still like, nah, I just want to stay here and see you cry. It was just so,
Well,
I don't know. To your point, like I agree. I think there's some situations where you want somebody to stay and fight and stay and fight. But then if, calling back Mavs, at some point you end up with a Ryan and Brett and there's no fighting left. And this
yeah,
felt like no fighting left to me.
yeah. I don't know. With Boris, I just always question um his intentions because there are also people who are addicted to their problems. Like they don't want solutions. They just like
Hmm.
being in it so they can complain all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like she's giving you a solution. Get out. And you're like, "No,
Yeah.
I'm going to stay here and continue to tell you that I'm sad and it's your fault." And give me comfort
Right.
too, by the way.
Exactly. Because he's also addicted to making everything about himself. And if he goes somewhere, wherever that will be, either by himself, then who's going to give him that attention that he wants?
One of the peers, Khalil, says that she's a skeptic. She believes in patterns. So do we, Khalil. So do we. And it's not the full story. And she worries when couples think that they're cured. I'm like, yep, yep, yes, and yes.
Yeah.
Another says like, maybe they wanted to control the narrative. That's the therapist that I was talking about last episode, Noir Al Sadir, the poet, also. And she's like, maybe they wanted to control the narrative. And I was like, ding, 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 ding. But no
Yeah.
one dwelled too much on that. So I'm like, okay, maybe we're crazy, but because that's just all I've been thinking. But Orna is like, I'm happy they got to a better place, but they did the opposite of therapy, and it was not about talking for them, which just makes me think that that's why it's going to be temporary. So,
Yeah. I love that. I love that phrase though, the opposite of therapy. I don't know what that is, but I like that phrase.
mhm, mhm. Okay, so then we start again with Nick and Catherine. Look what happens when Boris and Jessica are not in the picture. Nick and Catherine get headlining position. Nick says he appreciates Orna unlocking this and giving him a space to talk. He talks about how the shame that's been eating him up. We realize like it's not a big deal in many ways. And I'm glad he said that because I mean, I can't say that because he's the one who went through it. But yeah, I'm glad he's realizing that many years later, it's not a big deal. Like it was a thing that happened to him in his life. It was a thing that affected his life. But at some point, it became this big because of how he left it at being big, if that makes any sense. You know, because he found a part, like I think at the point where he found a partner who he told, and the person wasn't like, "Oh my God, I'm leaving you because you're gross," and this person embraced you and stood with you, and that's like a hint, like, "Oh, okay, I'm not. What am I ashamed of? Like, it's not anything that terrible that happened to me." So I'm glad that he came to that. Is my point, and saying that it wasn't a big deal in many ways. Then he says, "Oh yeah, we had an in-car fight, but we're okay and we're bouncing back from things better." And Orna's like, "Yeah, do you want to talk about the fight?" He skims through the fight. He was like, "Yeah, I didn't tell her about something. She found out, and it was like a breach of trust, and she got angry." And then I'm like, "This is what happens with Nick." Vague stories, skimming, vague. You are in therapy on camera, on TV. Like, spill, talk. That is what I don't know if they pay them, but that's what they paid you to do, or that's what you agreed to do. So Orna is
But
like, "Do
yeah,
you?"
but the way he even said it, like, how do you go from, I'm so glad I'm here, you're giving me the space to open up and talk, to then it shifting to, I hadn't told her this thing about a thing and it became a thing. Like, that's the opposite of opening up and talking. What's happening to you, sir? You regressed in 5 minutes.
Maybe he's like, "Well, it's our last one. There's no need bringing fresh material right now. No one's gonna help us cope. Let's just start working on it on ourselves. This is just a goodbye session."
Ugh.
So Orna says, "Do you want to talk about the thing?" And I don't know if it's just me. I don't know how long has passed or anything, but Orna looks very stressed. compared to the other episodes, it was kind of like maybe she aged. Like, again, I'm not shaming her or anything, but it was just very noticeable to me. And I'm like, something going on, but yeah,
Wait, but is this the one where she had the braids in her hair, the weird little
I don't remember
it
what
was
she
like,
was.
what? Yeah, because she was going through some style thing, and I was like, oh no, not this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I assume like everybody else, Boris sucked the energy and the health out of her.
Jen's like, we're just gonna blame Boris.
I'm blaming Boris
Um,
for everything. Global warming,
Kath-
Boris.
Catherine says, like, yeah, what happened? Because of course, Nick is like, oh, do you want to share? So Catherine has to be the one to tell the story. Catherine says she got the mail. There was a tax return from FanDuel. It's an online gambling site. And there was a large amount of money as earnings on there. For those who forgot, remember Nick battled with a gambling addiction a couple of years ago. She confronted him and he's like, yes, I am gambling again. And she was angry. And they have been working on trust. And I can't believe he asked because in the beginning when they were like, "Do you want to talk about it?" He was like, is it useful?" I can't believe he even questioned if this was going to be useful to their relationship. It's
Y-
major.
Yeah, and it's another thing that you've been hiding, and it's a thing that you've been hiding from the person that's the only person you've kind of told this other scary thing to. Why are you, out of everybody in the world, I understand you don't want the world to know about your gambling addiction, but why are you hiding it from your wife if she's going to be the one person in the world that you trust about all this super private painful stuff? Why would you hide this thing from her?
This is so huge because if you can keep this from her, then what else
Yeah.
can you keep from her? Because Catherine is another one who looks stressed. Catherine looks like she's keeping a lot inside. But to me, this is just such a breach of trust. Like he wasn't wrong about that. That for you to just say, well, we're fine, we're working on it. No, you're the recipient of the goodwill.
Right.
Ugh.
And then
He
whatever this gambling thing is, because he explains it later, like it wasn't a one-time thing. It wasn't like, oh, oops, on my way home from work, I stumbled in a casino and I bet. Like whatever this thing was, it went on for a while.
yeah. Like she said he was apologetic, but then he also said, well, your shopping addiction is the same. And I'm like,
I
whoa, whoa, whoa,
I
whoa,
hate
whoa.
I hate when people do that. When somebody says when they call you out on A and you're like, "But what about your B?" It's like, "Well, we're not talking about my B." Also, two things can be true. I can have a shopping addiction, but you still have a gambling addiction. They don't cancel each other out.
Also, you know about the shopping addiction.
Also, yes.
It's not the same. But then he shifted to what makes him want to do it. I just thought we're working on trust, and then you weaponize the thing that you know I struggle
Mhm.
with. Not
Mhm.
partner like behavior.
Boo.
This is why I said, are these people ready to graduate? What did you learn, sir? Nothing about therapy was like, I think I should just be open and upfront. No, let's just hide more things. Okay. Um, he says like here's his mentality on it. In the past, it was addictive. And it was like, I have to do this. I have to win this. But this is like, oh, I just paid $30 to like, win 1 million. And he knows he's not supposed to go there because, he had an addiction. And I think it's akin to like when like an addict decides like I'm just what do they call it? California sober. You still
Mhm.
smoke weed, but you don't do anything
Mhm.
else. And you're like, it's fine, but it's like a gateway.
Mhm.
Why even test it? So he casually again says, I know I'm not supposed to go there, but no, but, sir, like this is huge. And Catherine really just looks betrayed. She just looks tired, I think,
Yeah.
I'm going to say.
Yeah, she
But
looks sad because it's a lot. It's a lot,
it is.
and the way that she found out, like, what would, and I that's what I would wonder too, is if she hadn't found this thing in the mail, would she have known?
Yeah, and I'll get there because she talks about that.
Oh,
But it's
sorry.
like Nick was surprised. It's fine. Nick was surprised at how she didn't say anything and just listened to him. And he was very grateful for that. And I'm like, or she's just over it. And it's just like, there's really nothing I can say because if we're coming to therapy and we're talking about all these things and you still feel the need to hide something from me, it's just going to be a drop in the ocean. What is the point of even fighting back? They always say like it's worse when someone is indifferent, I guess.
Yes, yes.
So
I don't care is worse than I hate you.
yeah. So he says, like, oh, I actually feel relieved that she found it. And, now that we're talking about it, we really have no secrets. And I'm like, guys, what? What is happening? Like, if you're relieved that she found out, you could have just told her. Why did
Yeah.
she have to find out this way? Why? Like, you feel better. It's all out in the open. She has to deal with the fallout and the way that she found out. It's not that her partner came to her and thought, listen, I respect this person. I need to tell this person what I'm doing, even though it's going to hurt them. No, she found out through opening the mail, and you're being all casual about, oh, Nick, he just pissed me off this episode.
Yeah,
So,
just when I think I'm like, oh, maybe there's a little light on him, and then he's like, not so much. This was so disappointing, and it's disappointing because it started so well, where he was like, I have the space to open up and talk, and my note there was like, well, Katherine gives you that, but okay, it's good that you have a second person to speak with that about. And
yeah.
I don't know, maybe his addictive personality is like new toy, new toy, new toy. And maybe this is, at first therapy was a new toy and now gambling is a new toy. Like maybe there's something about his personality where he just needs and craves the newness. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. That's the thing. I don't know.
Mm.
Like I said, we need a where are they now? I want to know where all the people are.
I was
So,
thinking about that. I'm like, wouldn't it be cool to see a Where Are They Now? But like just the women, like the women at lunch talking about their experiences like they do on
um,
maps.
yeah, they used to. We haven't had one in like forever
That's
since.
true.
So, Orna asks, how are you guys leaving? And Nick says, really hard, that Catherine says they've been stuck, but opening up the patterns, they've become closer. Nick feels like it's just the beginning, and he actually asked what kind of therapy she referred him for. It was psychoanalysis, and he seems like he's going to be excited to do it. I'm actually curious if he followed through with it, because Nick looks like the kind of guy that's like, yeah, 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 yeah. And then you ask him, like, yeah, I haven't gotten around to it.
He's like, I had to call somebody and the appointment's not for a month because that's rarely how therapy works, where you're like, I'm ready today. And they're like, oh, I have an opening in 3 weeks. And he's like, oh, well, there's the wind out of my sails.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised there wasn't one for Katherine, because she still has, like we talked
Yeah.
about in the last episode, with all of her feelings about her weight. Like that's still something you need to deal with too, lady, because it's not your partner's responsibility to give you that.
Yes.
And if you can't get it in your couples group, like where are you getting that help from?
Yep.
And I'm sad that they didn't talk about that.
Because that's the dynamic of their relationship. She keeps making
Yeah.
room for Nick. And like you pointed out, when it's time for him to show up for her, he barely lifts his leg off the floor. So never forget that this is a guy who didn't help clean up his daughter's birthday party because he paid for it. So um he says he's able to say, I am going through something hard, like, oh, I need a hug. And being able to say what you need is helpful to him. Orna says that they are good at listening to each other. And I'm like, I don't know. Catherine just looks like she's holding things inside. So she's listening, but she's holding because she's just like, what is the point? But that was it for them. And Orna shares with Virginia about Nick being excited for the therapy, and she feels like it's a win, and it'll be a huge difference for Nick to get his own therapy. But to your point, how about Catherine? That's what
Yeah.
their whole season should be called. What about me?
What about Katherine? But also that's going to change the dynamics of a relationship too. When like one person not heals, but if he's off getting his own insight and she's essentially staying the same, like that could potentially change the relationship too. So, I don't know how that's going to go.
I'm glad you have faith that it's going to work for Nick. Remember, Nick doesn't have Catherine to do the therapy work for him. So he's going to quit.
Oh,
He's going to be like,
God.
I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to do this. And then that'll be it. So, I feel like through this season, whenever it was time to talk about Catherine's problems, Nick was like, yeah, it's not me. And then he
Mhm.
just lit up a little bit, but I don't know. But maybe again, I'm projecting. I don't know. But did we go too hard on Nick?
No, I don't think we went hard enough on Nick. Team
Because I'm
Katherine.
like, I've written a whole narrative. I've projected the whole story that I think it's about Nick, but maybe it's not. But who knows? But this is what we saw, and that's what I just feel like he's giving, like he's not reciprocating what she's giving him.
No. And and has no intention of it because, again, because he provides, so he's done.
And you
He
know who's going to
provides
pay
and he
for it?
hasn't left, so he's done.
And you know who's
FanDuel.
going to pay for it?
FanDuel.
Their daughter.
Well,
Because she's now seeking the love from their daughter. The things that Nick is not giving her, she's just like, you're going to be my best friend and we're going to do everything together.
yeah. And that's
So
going to be fun when she goes away to college.
when she sees Orna's daughter on the couch. Just kidding.
That would be great. Couples therapy 2.0.
All right, guys, taking a quick break and I'll be right back. All right, Rod and Allison. For the final episode, they brought their own dog, Peanut, and get to meet Orna's dog, Nico. And Rod says that it's been pretty heavy and they haven't been present. Allison says, like, this therapy has made a huge change for her. And she just didn't realize how much they needed help and how much they hurt each other. Orna says it's important to notice that her jumping in blocks Rod from expressing himself. It doesn't absolve him because he also invites her in and it's easy for him to do that to avoid his own work. But Allison says like it's really about control because she's just never been good with the unknown. Rod says, yeah, you can be overpowering, but you taking a deep breath has helped me be able to step in. And Allison just gets angry. Like Allison, I just,
she can't help herself, poor thing.
No, she can't. Her emotions will always trump whatever therapy that she's getting. She's like, why are you even saying that? Like, what am I doing like that dictates? Like, why are you saying like what I'm doing dictates how you act? Basically, she's like, why can't you be your own man? Why are you bringing me into this?
Right.
And
why is everything my fault?
Yeah, when you say things like that, it just makes me want to say something back. And then Orna with the positive affirmations is like, reinforcement is like, okay, it's wonderful you're not reacting. But she says, what did she even say? She says something like, she's telling Rod, I need for you to, and she goes, oh wait, no, I can't say that. I don't need it. I'm just gonna shut up. So Rod says that sometimes he projects to deflect. And Allison says that, yeah, but maybe you can let your guard down and then you don't have to do that. Like, and then she brings up the week before where he was crying and she was like, let it out. Just let it out. So Rod says that there is a new level of calmness in their life and he hopes they're able to maintain it because he knows that they can relapse just like they did last weekend. Orna says that's good, but translated to you, not Allison. I think Rod is not getting the point. And I think I've hinted at this, but in case I wasn't clear, I do think Allison is getting something out of this. Rod is a question mark because he's calm and not really shouting and stuff. But I don't know if he's making progress. I think he's kind of resisting because he's so comfortable with Allison being the receiver of the blame for everything.
Yes.
And it's very easy to receive that because, she's intense. Yeah. So I don't know if he's just going through the motions, which is what annoys Allison about him. But I like that Orna did say, like you're saying, like, oh, we need that calmness in our lives and we have to maintain it. He didn't say her name, but it was very, very clear that he was saying, like, well, I need you to not get angry because once you do that, you're the reason why we get stuck in the rut. So Orna is just like, good. Translated to you. What do you need to do? What is it that you're saying? And she says, talk more about that. And he's like, okay, maybe I was hiding behind my grief with anger. But Orna calls the BS and says, are you saying that because it sounds right? Or do you actually connect with what you're saying?
This is why we love Orna.
He's like, yeah, I'm not sure. Like, I feel like that's what I feel right now. And she's like, yeah, think about it. Like, what do you think that you could do to maintain the calmness that you're saying? And he's like, yeah, he's been thinking about meditation. And before he could even get it out, which is, again, like you said, you didn't understand their dynamic. This is an example. Allison's like, I'll do it. I'll go with you. I'll hop in and go. And you just know that Rod is like, thank God, I don't have to dig deeper into my feelings and explain what I mean because Allison has come to steal the show again. And that's exactly why, because Orna is like, Allison, why are you going? Why are you in this? And and Allison says, I'm just frightened. Like, I know, like, I just want us, like, to be able to, after doing all this therapy, being able to come on the other side and being able to be okay with whatever is on that side. That she's scared of the unknown after all this therapy. And she scoots over to him and gives him a kiss and they smile and all. But the fact of the matter is, they never went back to Rod to explain what he was saying. And that is the cycle that they have all the time, that Rod is like, I don't know if I want out of this because I don't get anything out of this. It doesn't help
Mhm.
me stay in the background.
See, you're like, mic drop.
My
And
mic
I'm gonna
literally dropped. Like it did. I didn't mean to, but it literally dropped.
and I again, I'm so stuck on not poor Rod because he chooses to be in this relationship, but when Orna challenged him, and she's like, do you feel this way? Or are you saying it because it sounds right? And he's like, oh, I'm saying it because it sounds right, which I have to give him credit for acknowledging that. But I think last week was when Orna had said to Allison, like, you've got to give Rod space to figure out his feelings. And she just can't. I don't know if she just doesn't like silence or she wants to be helpful or she wants to be a part of it. She doesn't want to be left out, but she's back to the Allison who wants to be patted on the head by Orna. Because I think that kiss where she was like, oh, we should kiss now. And then she kisses him and then goes back to the other side of the couch and looks at Orna for the pat on her head. And I think she said something like, well, I got to do a better job of not reacting, but reflecting, and then looks at Orna to be pat on the head. So I don't know how they're going to do this at home. And that's probably her fear is Rod's not going to pat me on the head when I make active changes and when I do something differently. How am I going to know where am I getting my praise from? Because it's really not coming from Rod.
In that same direction, I was thinking that more her fear is like without Orna there to guide them or to draw things out without it becoming like a fight, she's
Mm-hmm.
scared that they're going to go back to their patterns.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is, which it's very valid. And honestly, I don't know how long ago this was filmed, but I fully, if I was a betting woman, I would bet that they're back to the patterns. It's just through the whole thing, I think Allison showed growth. Like, even if Allison is baby steps, right? But she recognizes when she steps out of turn. She's like, oh, I need to shut up. Oh, I need to. Rod is just comfortable. Again, going back to this is what infuriates Allison about Rod. Rod doesn't push himself.
Yeah.
He just wants to stay in what he knows. So I don't know. I think they're never leaving each other. That's one
No.
thing. They're that couple that we are existing, we are fine. They're going to have pockets of happiness here and there, but for the most part, nothing's going to change. And this is what it's going to be. So, yeah. But it's just annoying because Allison is the scapegoat in the situation to me. And he could do the things like the way, it seems to be like, Allison, don't do this, don't step in, don't whatever. Rod could also do the things, actually be introspective and actually be vocalize what it is that you're thinking. So she doesn't have to
Yeah.
fill in the gaps, you
Yeah.
know? So yeah.
And I was kind of happy. I was kind of hoping that he would pick up on the tools that Orna uses to kind of, bring Allison from a 10 to maybe like a 7. And he just hasn't picked up on those things. Cause I think it's not hard to pull her down. Like once you say to her, hey, you're doing this, she's like, oh yeah, you're right. And once she has that awareness of it's happening, if she can't do it for herself, then maybe having Rod reflect that. Again, I'm not putting all the blame on her, but if he wants something out of her that's different, then he's going to have to do something different.
But I think that's the kicker. I don't think he wants things to change. That's my low key. You know how when someone is, listen, again, I could be going too far, and I don't think he has like bad intentions or anything like that. But like when you watch a show and they're like, who we thought the villain was, who the true villain was. I think it's Rod. I think it's not because he doesn't want them to work or to be better or whatever, but him doing those things would bring a radical change to their marriage that he doesn't want. He wants it to live it here because he can do what he wants. And if it's not easy, and that's what Orna was saying in the very beginning, like for you to get through the mess and get through the things, you have to, it's gonna shake everything up. And Loki, I
Yeah.
just feel like Rod is like, why am I changing this? He's not good with going deep into his feelings, and he has to actually go into his feelings to do that. And it's like, does that mean that Allison is now going to be agreeable? So there's no place to hide. I actually have to face things, say things, and do things. So he's not going to do it because to your point, it's easy to just say things and just give her the things that he wants. But he purposefully, to me, kind of jabs. Remember when he did the whole Jekyll and Hyde thing? We don't have the
Yes, that was a jab.
backstory.
That
Yeah,
was
we
a
don't
jab.
have the backstory. We didn't know it was. All we saw was Allison was getting angry. And she's like, he knows that. He knows that, that's how I used to describe my dad. And I don't like that. And then when he says all these things, like, what was it he said again? Oh, you're going to have to, you are going to, that's why Orna is just like, okay, guy, you've gone too far. Now, why is it always her? What do you have to do? Do you even know how to dissect the situation with you without bringing Allison into it? So I don't know. We shall see. Okay, quick break and we'll wrap things up with Kyle and Mundo. All right. We did not see them at all in the last episode.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't think I missed them.
Yeah, same. Um, upon reflection of the last time we saw Kyle and Mundo, I think I'm mad at Mundo.
Oh
The
no.
whole conversation about race
Hmm.
and never speaking about it. I just wonder why. I guess I need more insight into why he thought he couldn't bring it up. Because, yeah, I'm going to give Kyle flack. Like, he's just oblivious, did not know. But Mondo, you're experiencing it. You're in an interracial relationship. You know that you're Latino. Why are you not talking about it? What is the reason for suppressing that? Like, I know the desire is to keep Kyle happy, but why to this extent of not speaking about it?
I think that goes back to Mondo's original trauma and desire to be not left by the people that he loves the most, because he had that whole history with his parents about them trying to literally beat the gay out of him and all of that stuff. And so he's now in a spot where he's like, I need to hang on to my family. I've chosen Kyle to be my family. And what do I need to do to hang on with him? Because there's a million things that Kyle did that was disrespectful and not for Mondo
Yeah.
to be
but
fulfilled in that relationship. And the race thing is one of many. Like, add it to the pile and the list of things that you haven't been able to talk about your partner with because you're afraid of losing your partner.
Yeah, and I think that's what I'm mad at him for. Like, it's just that
And it's
is who you
valid.
are. And if you want to be
Yeah.
with your partner, they should accept you. And if I was mad at Patrick from Love is Blind, I don't know if do you watch Love is Blind?
I watched the season with Patrick and
Yeah.
poor little
Yeah.
monster didn't get any. He made no growth. But
So
okay.
if I was mad at Patrick and it was like because he seemed a little embarrassed about where he's from, I don't know,
Mhm.
or I don't think Mondo is embarrassed where he's from, but I just think that your race and who you are is not something that, it's not like you can hide it. It's right
Right.
there. Like, I just think like it would have been important to just like, hey, this is something that, like, Kyle is not the only one who gets to make demands and stuff. It's like, this is something that's important to me. I need you to recognize this. I need you
Yeah.
to see that if you're choosing this person to be your family, it's also beneficial for him to recognize that and to know that. So, yeah, just my reflection on the last time.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
And I agree. And I think it just was one of those things where Kyle's otherness of being deaf seemed to overpower Mondo's otherness of being a person of color.
Yeah, and like I said, as a partnership, they should find, in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
in that case. So, all right. So Mondo talks about their first date and tells Orna how it was so great, and then he fell asleep, and then he woke up about 3, 4 a.m. and decided to leave without saying goodbye. He left because it was too good to be true, and it was so perfect, and he was just like, "Oh my God, what was that?" That it was like a movie thing. It was just so good. He went home, fell asleep, and Kyle sent him this long text message, and it was like, I was sad when you left, and please don't do that to me again. And Kyle says, like, he was really upset about it. He has the history of people always leaving him, and he was like, he didn't want that to happen to him again, especially after such a great date. So he just told him how he felt. Kyle says that right now after therapy that they feel like they're more grounded, and Mondo says like now that they've shared some of their stuff that they both have, in terms of like Mondo has given the worry some of it to him, to Kyle, and he has also taken some of the freedom that Kyle had, and he hopes that they can keep that up. I just want to point out that Kyle and Mondo, specifically Kyle, really really take advantage of the bottled water in the office. The what is it called? Saratoga,
It's
the
Saratoga,
bottle.
yeah.
He's always chugging that bottled water. So, um, Mondo says that he hears Kyle, and he hears a more responsible person sitting beside him. Orna says that what bonds them is that they give the feeling that they make sense to each other in a way that they didn't have growing up. And Mondo mentions that they do have names for their inner children. Kyle's is Kalishu, and Mundo's is Amandito, and they recognize each other. And Mundo is tearing up, and is just really touched by their relationship. And I was just thinking, like, wow, that's crazy. We didn't see them last episode, and then in the final episode, they have the least amount of time. But then in the very beginning of their segment, we see Mundo is a designer. We see him like, cooking up an outfit and a shirt, and it was like a white outfit. I just thought they were going to a festival and stuff. And then we see them packing after they say goodbye to Orna and all the things, and they're packing. I'm like, oh, maybe they're just going on a trip. And it's because they were going to get married.
Da, 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 da.
We just see vows, and then we see them, and I'm like, wait, I have questions. Are they still open? Like, what is like? I mean, congratulations to them. Even though, I mean, all season long we've been like, go away, split, but they seem to get the most out of the therapy. I will say this, right? Can you agree with that or
Yeah.
no?
I mean, I think Kyle did, but I don't know if that was a result of therapy or a result of Mondo going, I'm done fighting with you, and I'm gonna go out and do my stuff. And maybe that's the result of therapy. But I wish when they were telling that story about their first date and Kyle going so deeply into, I wrote you this long text message and told you not to ever do that again, and da 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 da. Like, how do we go from don't ever leave me again to, oh, I'm going to go leave you because I want to have relations for 3 hours with strangers? Like, that
Mhm.
seems like such a disconnect. How do we go from A to B? And why are we, to your point, are we also back at B where we're just, because that's what I thought. I'm like, did they get married at the place, at the resort that they went to where they were in bathhouses? Like, who was there? We didn't see anybody in the, of their guests. So I don't know. I had so many snarky questions, but I did think the outfits were cute. Good job, Mondo.
Mm.
I like them. I
Mm.
mean, they weren't
Mhm.
wedding. I couldn't wear that, but for the two of them abroad in a
Yeah.
special wedding, I thought it fit them. I thought it was cute.
I only think they had growth from the therapy because they seem lighter. They seem to be hearing each other, and I actually saw it. So that's the only reason I thought, like, they learned from the therapy.
Yeah.
But yes, that is what happened, and that is the season, and that was it. And thank you guys for hanging on with us through this. And like I've been saying the last few episodes, let us know what you would like us to cover. Is there any marriage related show, couples show, relationship shows that you like us to do? It's funny because when the episode ended, some show came up for me. It was called Marriage Rescue, but it's like so old. And it was like a guy who
Mm.
goes to try to save people's marriage. And I'm like, huh, interesting. But yeah, any final thoughts, Jen?
I Team Orna all the way. I mean, I could watch a whole show with just the therapist talking about their clients. Like, that would be a fun show to watch. I don't know if anybody's pitched that. Because it's interesting to see their banter and their interaction with each other. So I'm down for another season. Come back, Orna. Hopefully with better couples. But no, it was a fun season. Thank you for putting up with all of our scheduling. For those of you that don't know, we are 12 hours apart. And so poor Tane has to record at like 7 a.m. to accommodate my schedule. So thank you, Tane, for getting up at the 0 dark 30 every time that we record and being so dedicated to it. Always the consummate professional, and I love talking to you. It's been a pleasure.
Aw, same. It's been fun doing this with you, doing like the rewatch with Mavs and doing this. So I hope we find the next show that we're going to do together. So that's where we need you guys' help. So, okay. Well, do you share with people where they can find you?
Yes, you can see our adventures from New Year's in Singapore and then back in Thailand on jns.adventures on Instagram and YouTube.
Okay. You can find me, AltaCall MAFS, on all of the socials. If you want to shoot me an email at gmail.com, please give me a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and stay subscribed so you don't miss out on any new episodes. Hope everyone has a good new year. Until next time, bye.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.